Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you 5 things to start doing today to support your memory. Memory loss is something that people of all ages experience. You can be in your teens, you can be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on and experience memory loss. But it is a condition like in particular memory loss, Alzheimer's, dementia. These are conditions that are more prevalent for women, and I'll explain why in a bit. And it's something that also can affect your day-to-day life. It can be something as simple as not remembering things that you've studied and then doing poorly on an exam as a result, or not remembering past memories, or even something as simple as somebody just told you their name 2 minutes ago and you already forgot it. So memory loss affects you in so many different ways, and a lot of people experience it, and I'm going to explain why and some things that you can do, 5 things in particular to start doing now to support your body and improve your memory. And yes, you can reverse memory loss and rebuild up the brain and have that proper cognition again. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing to start doing is change your diet. Now, this is probably the easiest thing you can do, and you'll get really quick results doing this usually. So our brain is really running our entire body, and it needs nourishment, it needs nutrients. If we are eating a very nutritionally depleted diet, so the standard American diet where we're having a lot of processed foods, refined foods, sorry, my windows are open and we live out in the country and everybody here has really loud trucks, so I apologize. But yeah, if you're eating a diet that's full of MSGs and modified ingredients and sodium nitrates and nitrites and canola oils and deep fried foods, all of these are very inflammatory to our brain. They pass the blood-brain barrier. They cause brain inflammation, which causes cell death. It causes shrinking of cells. It causes damage to our cells. And so as a result, our brain capacity is not as good. It's very inflamed, and our brain is not getting those antioxidants, those vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and fats that it needs to stay young, healthy, hydrated, and functioning properly. So number one, you need to get nourishment in, and what that looks like, the ideal diet would be a diet full, very, very rich in dark leafy green vegetables for good methylation in the brain. You want to have also some fresh, natural, organic fruit. Lots of healthy, proteins, whether it's grass-fed lamb or pasture-raised chicken or wild-caught seafood. And then a smaller amount of complex starches coming from quinoa or sweet potatoes or buckwheat or lentils or mung beans or squash. And then you also want lots of healthy fats, not just peanut butter. That does not count. You want to make sure you're getting in like coconut oil, avocado, walnuts and other nuts and seeds, things like chia seeds and flax seeds, coconut oil, sardines, things that are so nourishing for the brain. Our brain is made up of mostly of fat and water. It needs to have not just a little bit of peanut butter here and there. It needs to have plenty of healthy fats. So making sure on a daily basis you're getting tons of vegetables, proteins, complex carbs, and fats is so important. This will give you all the micronutrients you need. It'll give you your vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and fats to nourish the brain and reduce free radical damage. Another thing you want to do as part of your diet, aside from eating plenty of fats as well, is really minimizing heavy metals. So there are heavy metals in a lot of our food. For example, rice is usually really high in arsenic. And then we have our drinking water, which has heavy metals, and certain fish are high in mercury. And then you have anything that comes out of a can would potentially contain aluminum. So just removing heavy metal sources from your diet as well is very important, because heavy metals can pass the blood-brain barrier, and they are one of the main neurological disruptors in our body. They damage our nervous system, which is obviously a part of our brain. And a lot of people who have heavy metal toxicity experience a lot of this nervous system issues. So that's the first thing, is just really tighten up the diet, clean it up, eat a diet rich in nutrients. You will notice your memory improving day by day as you do this, especially as you're eating those healthy fats and leafy green, organic, very dark vegetables. The next thing is to consider estrogen. For both men and women, estrogen support. So why is estrogen important? Well, we actually have tons of estrogen receptors in our brain. This is why women are way more susceptible to things like Alzheimer's and dementia as we go through menopause and beyond, because our estrogen levels naturally decline, and it just naturally makes us more susceptible to these memory loss conditions, Because without enough estrogen production, the receptors in our brain actually starve to a certain degree, for lack of a better word. And so then our cells in return are not getting what they need to stay young, healthy, thrive, and keep our brain functioning properly. So we really need estrogen. It is so important for so many things. And if you are a female and you're like, my memory's getting worse and worse and worse, really consider estrogen. Men as well. So how do we consider estrogen? What do we do? Well, you can support your estrogen levels naturally in the body by doing a few things. Both men and women can do things like chia seeds and flax seeds, which contain phytoestrogens and can naturally support healthy estrogen production in a balanced way. Women in particular, you can do things like Vitex or chasteberry, which can help naturally support estrogen levels. You also can consume organic sprouted soy like edamame beans or tofu once in a while if you're not sensitive to it. There are a lot of things you can do to boost your estrogen levels. One of the other ways is also by down-regulating excess androgens. I made a whole video on that already, which you guys can check out, but just making sure that you're having healthy estrogen by doing the seed cycling, taking some herbs if necessary, sleeping with your circadian rhythm, avoiding sugars. These are a lot of things that can go to help your body produce a healthy amount of estrogen and in the right way. There's a lot more to it if you're really deficient in estrogen. Say if you have PCOS, then there's a lot more to do, but just understanding that estrogen plays a huge role in our memory for both men and women, that's something to just remember and then potentially work on if you think that's an issue for you. The third thing, supplements. You don't need to take a lot, but it depends on what your condition is. Say you have heavy metal toxicity, you obviously would want to do a heavy metal cleanse paired with liver and kidney support. If you think you have mold toxicity, which also is a massive nervous system disruptor because the mold produces mycotoxins, which passes a blood-brain barrier and damages our neurological system, you need to do a cleanse from mold and liver and kidney cleansing as well. So if you have a specific condition or toxicity, you have to address that. But just in general, I'm talking supplements for memory function. There's a few and some really good ones. The first thing is omega-3. So I love cod liver oil. I take it almost daily, not every day the rest of my life, but on an as needed basis, and we eat a lot of organic wild caught fish. So getting that cod liver oil in, the EPA and DHA, more importantly, will help to regenerate brain tissues and keep that brain healthy and functioning properly. So cod liver oil is really, really important. I also love ginkgo biloba. It's an herb, and also bacopa, which help get circulation to the brain. It gets blood flow to that brain tissue, and that in return also improves the function of your memory by having that good circulation. So ginkgo biloba and or bacopa and a cod liver oil are great. Curcumin's fantastic for the brain as it also helps to bring down inflammation levels. So there's obviously a theme here. If you have brain inflammation, you're not going to have a healthy functioning memory. So we need to improve that inflammation to improve the brain. So that's the goal. Curcumin helps with that. It's fantastic. Now there's medicinal mushrooms as well. I really like cordyceps, and you can also use lion's mane and or reishi to help support your brain function. They're high antioxidants, so they're getting rid of those toxins and carcinogens. They improve blood flow to the brain. They help support the healthy brain function. So healthy fats, some herbs, they can go a long way to improving your memory. There's a supplement from Genestra. It's called Neurogen Cognition. I love that supplement. I recommend pairing that with a cod liver oil and perhaps some medicinal mushrooms. Okay, so number 4 I think we're on is TVNS. This is transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation. This is something you guys have heard me talk about a lot. I have a guide on my website, holisticspring.com, under the ebooks tab. You can download if you want to learn exactly how to use it. I also have a video on this channel explaining what TVNS is, or transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation. And I have in-depth videos on how to do it also over on holisticspring.org. So I have tons of info on it if you're looking for more info. But essentially, it stimulates your vagus nerve. And by using electrical impulses to stimulate your vagus nerve, you're going to have brain inflammation come down, because that vagus nerve connects our gut and our brain. So if there's gut inflammation, say you have a lot of toxins, constipation, inflammation in the gut, pathogens, they're directly causing inflammation to the brain. So it's really normal to see memory loss issues or things like that. So that vagal nerve stimulation reduces inflammation in both areas and can help so much with resignaling and stimulating the brain and can help with memory. So transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation is something I suggest. A TENS machine is so affordable. It will last you your whole life. Your whole family can use it if they need to, and it is something that I suggest everybody has on hand and uses if it's appropriate for you. And then last but not least, we have hydration. So this is something that is overlooked by so many people. Now, I don't want to just say drink water, because while that's important, it also is important on the type of water you're drinking. You want to be drinking pure filtered water, water that is filtered from everything, filtered from parasites, viruses, heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, everything you can think of, because our standard drinking water from a tap or even bottled water, which is essentially the same thing, is high in chlorine and heavy metals and other toxins that go to your brain, because our brain is so much water. So water we're drinking is going to our brain, and if there's toxins or chemicals in there, that is going to the brain and damaging brain tissue. So we need good filtered water to support our brain, and drinking bottled water is not it. Drinking right from the tap, that's not it. You need to get a good filter. I personally love Berkey. It's not sponsored. I'm not affiliated with Berkey in any way, but I love them. If you go on their website and see what their filters filter, your mind will be blown. It filters pretty much anything you can possibly think of. If you're a person who drinks from bottled water, plastic is an endocrine disruptor. It lowers your estrogen levels, your healthy estrogen levels, and that in turn means that your estrogen receptors in the brain are not functioning optimally, and that affects memory. So if you're drinking plastic, you are doing things to damage your estrogen production, which affects your memory. So get off of the plastic, get off of any tap water, purchase either a Berkey. It's a great investment. If you cannot afford the Berkey machine, you can buy the Berkey water bottle even, and that's a better option. Or another option would be to, try to drink out of glass bottles or something else. So just make sure your water source is good. But the most important aside from that is to drink. A lot of people will drink 2 to 4 cups in a day. Sometimes they don't drink anything. And that is the worst thing you could do when your brain requires a ton of fluid. You might get headaches. You'll have poor cellular function in the brain, as our cells are full of fluid as well. So you need to hydrate. You need to drink at least 10 glasses a day, especially if you're active and sweating. If you drink coffee, add an extra 2 on top of that. So a huge way to support your brain is drink plenty of water and make sure it is good and filtered. So those are the tips. The first one is diet, a really alkaline, anti-inflammatory, highly nutritious diet full of healthy fats. Fats are needed for brain function. Number 2 is looking at your estrogen levels and doing things to support healthy, natural estrogen, like seed cycling, and perhaps things like Vitex or chasteberry if needed, so you have healthy estrogen to support the estrogen receptors in the brain. Number 3 is taking certain supplements to help support, again, our cognition and improve circulation to the brain while reducing inflammation. Then do transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation with a TENS machine to help stimulate that vagus nerve and, again, reduce brain inflammation. And then last but not least, hydrate by eliminating heavy metals and plastics and putting a lot of fluid that's good quality into the body. And then on the side, if you have mold toxicity or heavy metal toxicity or some other nutrient deficiencies or imbalances, address those as well, as that will also help your brain. If you have MTHFR or methylation issues, that's another thing to look into and address. But this is just the starting point, so I hope you can incorporate some of these tips, get the relief you need, and you will notice if you're consistent how quickly you'll improve that memory function. And if you're kind of staying on top of it lifelong, you should have a proper functioning memory for hopefully as long as possible. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Follow me on Instagram at Marla's Healthy Life for way more tips like this. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.